Peace, love, and Tuba-standing. First off, I need to thank my wife for loving me as much as she does and putting up with me. And as time, yes, she's pointing toward her watch because she knows that I'm taking gabapentin and tramadol, so I can just talk here for days. But she does everything, and she is my everything. We actually met, Mary and I met at a amusement park called Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. And I saw this beautiful woman. We were both working there. It's 1985. And I go walking in, and I see this goddess hanging out over the microwave. And I was like, I need to talk to this woman. And so I walk over and I say, "Excuse me, miss, I just wanted to say hello." I mean, like that, it was that magnetism. There was no way I was going to moth to flame, deer in headlights. I was going in. And she hesitates for a second, stiffens, goes bolt upright, and does an about face. And her cheeks are so full. They're like chipmunk cheeks, full of food. She took a hot dog. She shoved the whole thing in her mouth. She was late for work, she wants to say, and she needed to eat something. So she took this thing, shoved this thing in her mouth. She's got chipmunk cheeks. And I just said, "I'm in love with you. My name's Mary Borton." I said, "You're mine." And that's how we met. And we fell in love. And then because of back in 1985, we still had racism, institutional racism, microaggressions, all those things were still very strong. I mean, there were a lot of that. There was a lot of instances of that was taking place. And I lost my nerve, basically. I didn't want to bring her into my world. I didn't want her to stay in my world because it's a funky world. If you're an African American, you have to stand in two worlds. Especially back then, you had to be one way with your kin. You had to be another way with the people that you were dealing with. And for me, it was very tough, and it was really I was going through difficult times. So I ended up breaking up with her and missing her, like I lost my soul after we broke up. And I just, for 27 years, I wandered in the desert, or as Douglas Adams would say, the long, dark tea time of the soul. And it was one of the most, everything I did, every success, everything was tainted because I missed this woman, and I loved her so, so very much. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And then
27 years later, I had joined Facebook to connect with friends after I had gone through a divorce, and I got a message, and it was from Kabin. "How are you?" 27 years later. I was from Michigan. I was living in Omaha, Nebraska, and I said, "Hi, what are you doing? Where are you?" I was envisioning him playing in an orchestra somewhere here in the States, and he says, "I'm a game show host in Abu Dhabi." Seriously. The thing is, through all my life and my really difficult marriage, I had kept photos. I had kept the pin I wore the night I met him. I hugged a pillow every night thinking of him for all those years because he was my love. And I started to cry when I got that message from him. We emailed, Skyped, phone called, and a few months later, someone who had never traveled overseas before got on a plane and flew where? Abu Dhabi. We hugged, and it felt like we'd been apart a week. We visited for a couple weeks, and then I came back to Omaha, and then a few months later, Kabin gave up his job and moved to Omaha to be with me. Then a couple years later, after I'd gotten a chance to meet his children and know them and love them, we got married 30 years after we met at First Unitarian Church of Omaha. It was a big celebration. The thing is, we had so much regret and sorrow from not being with each other, but we're really working hard to just make the most of the time we have together, right? People you love, you want to cherish and make the most of that time. I have to tell you, though, that it reminded me, as soon as Kabin came back in my life, I realized the privilege I walk around with. I can walk into a store and not be followed. I can drive by a police officer and not worry I'll be pulled over because I might not look safe. The first time we went to our church, I brought Kabin to First Unitarian for a potluck, and we pulled into our parking lot, and it's located in the Midtown downtown area, and there's some crime that occurs there. So the parking lot during the day is rented to a local company. They rent our parking lot. We make some money from that. We did until they moved. And they always had a security guard in that parking lot for years. I had driven by that security guard, years. He had never looked at us. He had never said anything. He was just there to make sure the cars during the day were safe. We pull in around 5:30. The security guard's there, and what happens? Tap, tap, tap on the window. Are you folks supposed to be here? I was mortified because I knew why he was saying that, with a sneer on his face and anger in his eyes, because there was a black person in that parking lot. That was my impression, at least, of how I perceived his dealing with us. And he almost argued with us. And I said, I've been here a million times. We're here for the potluck. And he finally left. But I was so upset. And Kabin calmed me down, and he said, Mary, this is just, it is what it is. This is how I live. And so get used to it. It made me weep. It made me weep because he's been pulled over, he's been detained. We've had situations arise, scary feelings when we're in certain small towns that we avoid now as we learn our way around Nebraska and Omaha. And it makes me so angry I do cry. But the thing is, this person is so resilient. He's so optimistic. He's so full of love. He's so full of hope that we're going to arise over that hump and be together and join together. Okay, I'll stop talking.
It was a hard choice to, it wasn't a hard choice to love Mary. There's nothing I can do about that. You know how love works. If you can't live without him, you can't live without him. But I was afraid of bringing her into that world because it's still troublesome. But like I said before, we are going to push past it. It is going to go back. I think it's just going to dissolve. And at the end of our sermon, I'll give you 6 things to do do your part to help with turning that fear, because it's based into fear, into love and hopefully joy. Okay. So I wanted to share with you this. This is, I didn't talk to you, forgive me, I didn't talk to you about what we do. We go around wherever we can, basically, the various Unitarian churches, and we do this show called Peace, Love, and Tuba-standing. Reverend Amy, by the way, who I didn't thank, and I thank her, allowed us to come here and share our story with you folks. Peace, Love, and Tuba-standing is about going in those towns that we're kind of uncomfortable with going in and sharing our love. Because the bottom line is love trumps hate. Love is the answer. You can live one of 2 ways, in fear or in love. And we choose love. And so Peace, Love, and Tuba-standing came from an incident that took place. In 2016, I was a caretaker at the apartment complex where Mary and I lived in Omaha. And one of my jobs is to close up the pool in the evening. And so there was a rowdy group that was in the corner. The sponsor, the woman who lives on the property, is one of the nicest, sweetest people I ever knew. But her kin were not. And so they were there without her. And it was time to close up, and the beer had been flowing. So they were very rowdy and rambunctious. I said, folks, it's time to go because we're closing up the pool, and I still needed to clean. So I said, it'll be 5 minutes. So I ended up cleaning all the way around the pool, and I got to their area again. They were still there. I said, please, I hate to be a downer, but I need you folks to leave because I need to finish up and close up the pool. And so they get up begrudgingly and they walk out. And I hear a guy say, well, we left something for you. And so I go over to the table after they had turned the corner, and what was on the table was a noose. And I was, wow, it was one of those sort of moments where a lot of things go on in your head. And I took it and I threw it in the trash. And then I picked it up out of the trash. I said, no, we got to do something about this. This is not cool. And I took it up to Mary, and I said, look at what happened. And I put the noose down, and she just cried. She was so upset. And there's two ways to go. You can be angry about it, or you can talk the talk, or you can walk the walk. And so we decided to walk the walk. And Peace, Love, and Tuba-standing is all about walking the walk. It was born from a noose, but it is conquered through love. And we are going all over the Unitarian community, sharing our story and sharing our love. And it's a show that can go for 90 minutes, or it's a show that can be embedded inside of a service. Now, I know that the good Reverend Amy wants, she said, keep it around an hour, and so we're pushing past that. So let me get to the things that we can do. So we talked a little bit about peace in our heart. We talked a little bit about love, and now we're at the understanding portion of what we're doing. And I believe in my heart that these 6 things that we could do as Unitarians are things that we can do to sort of tear down that wall with love. And these are things that I know you know, but I'm going to share them with you, and I'll do it quickly. Number 1, take a black to lunch. And what I mean by that is get out of your comfort zone. Talk to someone who might not be the same ethnicity as you, who is in your same job site. Now, if you do this all the time, you're just like, yawn, no big thing. But if you don't, step out of your comfort zone. Ask them to come to lunch with you. Ask them to break bread with you, because that is a wonderful thing. It's hard sometimes to really be irrational when you have a nice belly full of food. And during that time, number 2 is listen. Actively listen to their perspective. Or let's say you're comfortable with talking to people that are outside of your ethnicity. Talk to somebody whose political affiliation is diametrically 180 opposed to who you are. Talk to them. Take them to lunch. Actively listen to what they say. Be willing to hear. Be willing to hear another person's side, whether you agree with it or not. Do not have a pre-packaged response to what they say. Be willing to walk a mile in their shoes, whether you agree or not. This is one of the things that is very challenging for me. If you go to my Facebook page, I ask lots of questions. I'm left of Ferdinand the Bull. I don't think you know that, but I ask questions, and I really do work very hard to hear the response from the other side. So it's important, because they're that way for a reason, and the trick is to understand how they got there. If you can understand that, you've taken huge steps. And sometimes you have to bite your tongue with a vice. But the thing to do is to listen. Listen to what they have to say. Understand what they have to say. And then number 3, be smart. Unitarians are some of the smartest people I've ever encountered in my life. Both sides of the aisle. Don't be afraid to be smart. There is a wave of anti-intellectualism that is sweeping this country right now. People proud of being dumb. And we're not. And so this is a weird time in our country's history. And we have to stand our intellectual line. But we do it with love and respect. And we keep the invective, and we keep we don't play their game because they're so good at it. So we listen with love, we respond with love. We're willing to be smart. Number 4, be willing to be of service. Be willing to be of service, to help everyone that is in need as best you can. To have your heart open when you hear stories of other people's lives, especially with those people that you disagree with. You show them love when they're vulnerable. You can change their life. Number 5, be willing to be open and honest and respectful. Be willing, be willing, be willing, be willing. I had a police officer doing these steps I'm sharing with you. I had a police officer say to me, I've been zip-tied and detained 7 times and counting. And I had a police officer say to me that he considers black people no different than tarantulas. Now, I am deathly afraid of tarantulas. I know that in my life, before they put dirt on my face, I have to have one of those guys on my arm. I have to. And just the thought right now, it's so hard just to even think about a tarantula on my arm. For that guy, that white guy, to tell me that he thinks of me that same way that I think of that tarantula, that hurt. But I appreciated his honesty, because there is the space where it's possible to bring love and bring light and bring healing into the situation. I am grateful he told me that he thought of black people like tarantulas. And understand that we are alive, and that be willing to understand that we are super special. We are alive. We're here on this planet. All of us are intergalactic lottery winners. It was a 500 million to 1 chance against for us to make it here. We did. We won just arriving on the planet. And if we could just change our mindset to how fortunate we are to just be here, and if we could share with other people that we live on this big, blue, beautiful blue boat that's zooming in the universe at 67,000 miles per hour. What? We're at a 23.5 degree tilt that gives us 4 seasons, 93 million miles away from a sun? Holy cats. This is mind-boggling. If you spend just a minute, you don't have to have gabapentin and anything in your system. This is some trippy stuff to understand that we are so lucky. We're so blessed. Doesn't make a difference if you believe in God or not. It doesn't make sense. We're just an intergalactic random wow, and it makes it even more special if you don't believe in God. You know, if we could just get more people to believe how fortunate we are, we will stop all this crap that we are doing. So just think about that. Be willing, be open, be willing to be who we are. Be Unitarians, because we rock. And it's going to be people like us that changes the world for the better. It is. Your mission field is out there. Go and share your light. Share the fact that we are so special to be on this blue boat, this beautiful blue boat.